All right, guys, I'm going to try to slide one last final editorial in tonight. I'm going to get one last one into you. And there won't be a whole lot of pictures on this one. It'll be a lot of me talking. Try not to make it too long. I'm going to try to talk fast. But before I get to that, I'll talk a little bit about what I heard in the news tonight. Ron Jeremy is looking at over 300 years of incarceration if he's sentenced, or if he's found guilty and sentenced for allegations of sexual assault and rape charges. And they're saying that one of them could be a 15-year-old girl. So this former porn actor is looking at over 300 years in prison for allegations of sexual assault, rape charges. And again, one of them could be a 15-year-old. It's not good. And I used to love Ron Jeremy. I used to followed him on Twitter all the time. And now, I don't know. This guy might have to just let him go. All right, so getting to our editorial. It's referenced the Waukegan shooting in Illinois. And the girlfriend who was shot, Tafara Williams, has some very interesting news about Marcellis Stinnette, who was her boyfriend that was fatally shot. We think he was fatally shot. I'm going to go into it. Again, there won't be a whole lot of pictures. I'm just going to run you through it. I'm going to put a link to the story in the description box below for you. I don't know who's telling the truth on this one, but if she's telling the truth, we've got problems in Waukegan. Thank you to NBC News for this story. In an emotional statement from her hospital bed, Tafara Williams, the survivor of an October 20th police shooting in Waukegan, Illinois, said officers shot her boyfriend, Marcellis Stinnette, and covered him with a blanket while he was still alive. Tafara Williams said tearfully from her hospital bed, "They laid Marcellis on the ground and covered him with a blanket while he was still breathing. I know he was still alive." In their description of the incident last week, the Waukegan Police Department confirmed that Stinnette was transported alive to the hospital, where he later died. Appearing remotely via Zoom at a press conference Tuesday hosted by civil rights attorney Ben Crump and co-counsel Antonio M. Romanucci, Williams' recollection seemed to contradict the Waukegan Police Department's description of the incident as a traffic stop gone wrong. On the night of October 20th, that's last Tuesday, when Stinnette was shot and killed, Williams said she and her partner were sitting in their parked car to smoke shortly after having put their baby to bed. Williams recalled that an officer arrived and pulled up behind the car. He didn't turn on his lights or siren. She said she threw on all the cabin lights inside so the officer who walked up to the driver's seat could see where she was sitting, and that she had no weapons and that they weren't doing anything illegal. Williams said that the officer called out Stinnette by name and asked if she was named Tafara, and indicated he knew her by saying that she was Stinnette's baby mama. Then Williams recalls he started harassing Marcellis Stinnette. He stood near the car with his left hand on the gun, and he said to Marcellis, "I know you from jail." Williams said she asked if they were free to leave or if they were under arrest. She said he stepped away from her to make a cell phone call, and so she began to drive away. She said, "I drove away very slowly because I was scared to get out of the car. I drove out to Martin Luther King and turned onto it. The officer was not following me. The police lights were not on when I turned on to Martin Luther King. It seemed like there was another officer there waiting for us." She said there was a crash and I lost control. The officer was shooting at us. The car ended up slamming into a building and I kept screaming, "I don't have a gun," but he kept shooting. Williams said between sobs that he told me to get out of the car. I had my hands up and I couldn't move because I had been shot. Marcellis had his hands up. I kept asking him why. Why was he still shooting? Williams said more officers arrived with their guns, trained on the couple. She said they wouldn't give us an ambulance until we got out of the car. When I moved, blood poured out of my body. She said, I can hear Marcellis. He was still breathing. I told them, please don't shoot. I have a baby. We have a baby. We don't want to die. And an officer dragged me away from Marcellis. I begged him to take him first because he had just got surgery not too long ago. And she said they ignored me. They laid Marcellis on the ground and covered him with a blanket, she said, while he was still breathing. I know he was still alive. They wanted us to bleed out on the ground. And then Williams was overcome with emotion. She said, please take me off. And they stopped the video interview of her in the hospital. Now, the Waukegan Police Department did not immediately respond to an NBC News request for comment on Williams' allegations. Of course not.
It's an ongoing investigation. We have to get the narrative right.
An initial police statement released the morning after the incident said an officer was investigating an occupied vehicle and the car fled. A second officer spotted the vehicle in a nearby area. This is what they're saying. And the statement said, and as the second officer got out of his vehicle, the car began to move in reverse, and the officer fired in fear of his safety. Now, we don't know why it went in reverse. Maybe he stopped and she saw and she was backing up to go to the police car to see what he wanted or what have you. We don't know why she backed up or if she backed up. No weapons were found in the car, police said. Neither officer has been identified. Now, the officer who shot at the vehicle was fired. He's not on paid leave pending an investigation. He was terminated. You only get fired when you do something wrong, right? When you're a cop, because, he'd be on paid leave if But it says the officer who shot at the vehicle was fired for committing multiple policy and procedure violations during the incident, Waukegan Police Chief Wayne Wallace announced over the weekend. The officer was terminated shortly after Lake County State's Attorney Michael Nurheim announced that the FBI will assist the Illinois State Police in an independent investigation of the shooting. Now, at Tuesday's press conference, which was yesterday, attorneys Crump and Romanucci praised Waukegan Mayor Bill Cunningham for his transparency in the handling of the case. Crump and Romanucci said, compared to the response to the police shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin, short distance over the state line, Waukegan officials moved quickly to discipline the officer and start the process of releasing the body cam footage, which Crump said is imminent. But in both Wisconsin and Illinois, Crump said police officers failed to de-escalate. They always fail to de-escalate. Cops don't know how to de-escalate. Cops only know how to tell you what to do. And if you don't do what they tell you, they're going to kick your fucking ass. That's how it goes, man. Just like Deputy Rose. When I went up to record that one night, and I was standing there, and about 10 feet in front of me was a fire hydrant, and then about 15 to 20 feet in front of the fire hydrant was a police car, and he was standing at the front of the police car getting ready to do a search of a pedestrian, and I walked up, I told you where I was standing, 10 feet from the fire hydrant, which was about 15, 20 feet from the back of the police car. He was in front of the police car. That's how far away I was. And he said to me, back up and give me some room. He said it just like that. Back up and give me some room. I was like, dude, look how far away I am. You're up in the front of the car. You're searching somebody. He goes, you're in the middle of my crime scene. Get out. I said, get the fucking work. He ran the distance of 10 feet, 15 to 20 feet, and a length of a police car. He ran all that distance to get in my face with a flashlight, and he was like right here on me and said, oh, get out of my crime scene. I'm going to arrest you for 148A. My point is, cops don't know how to de-escalate. All they know how to do is tell you what to do, even if they're wrong. And if you say, no, you're wrong, they fucking go off the handle. They're going to tase you, shoot you, punch you, arrest you, whatever they have to do to get their way. They're like a little kid. Because that's what cops act like sometimes. I want my way. I want milk. I want milk. Instead of, the guy may have dropped something there. If I can have you take about 5 steps back, I'm going to be searching that area. See, that's how you de-escalate, Rose. You don't get all pissed off because somebody's not obeying you. Because your first command was back up and give me room. I was like over 50 feet away. How much fucking room do you need to search a pedestrian? Now, the only reason I bring up that story is it goes back to right here where Attorney Crump says police failed to de-escalate. They don't know how to de-escalate. They only know how to give orders, and you obey or you get your ass kicked and then arrested or shot. Now, there's a whole lot more on this story. Well, a lot more. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 6 or 8 paragraphs left, and I'm not going to go through. But the point of this here I wanted to give to you, there's 2 things I want to bring out on this, and I really had to harp. I'm sorry I kind of went off on a tangent a little bit, but it's relevant. I try to put it all together like a Rubik's Cube. One, was Marcellis Stinnette alive when they laid him on the ground and put a blanket? How did they put the blanket over him? Did they put it over him like he was a DB, dead body? Because it even says in the story he was transported alive to the hospital where he died. And how long did it take them to get the ambulance there? And then 2, what can we do to emphasize de-escalation training for officers? And it says here in this story, as you'll read it if you click the link below, that the attorneys are calling for an emphasis on de-escalation training. A lot of law enforcement officers have to be trained on public service. They know nothing about public service. And I'm not talking about all cops, because I know cops that they ask you to do something in a very professional manner. I've had cops do that. But if one cop does it wrong, that's one too many. You need to train, or you need to train that cop. So what can we do to train these cops on de-escalation training or public service, customer service, instead of obeying somebody to do something? And you may not be right. If you're wrong, officer, deputy, agent, whoever, you're wrong. Just say, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I overstepped. Do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. It's okay to say that. But cops can never admit wrongdoing. I don't get it. Cops are like, I'm never wrong, motherfucker. Yeah, you are. Sometimes. But they won't admit it. And they push it. And we end up getting what we have here. A dead Marcellis Stinnette and an injured DeFaro Williams. We have Jacob from Kenosha, Wisconsin. We have Rayshard Brooks. We have Freddie Gray. We have Eric Garner. We do have Breonna Taylor. That one's a little iffy on, de-escalation or what have you, but still, that one's a fucked up case anyway. I could go on and on with all these people that are being killed by law enforcement because they don't know how to de-escalate. I don't know how. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below. Community Leo Watch. Watch it, Leos. That's law enforcement officers from coast to mother humming coast. Every day, every week.